Well, did Gruber just give Republicans yet another boost for 2016?
Republicans, there's enormous risk the entire law just craters if there's not someone in the White House who cares about making it work. So you don't need active repeal. You just need ignoring the law and letting it wither on the vine.
All right, so when he's out, will voters want a president who will kick the health care law out? Republican strategist Lisa Booth says, well, he just gave Republicans more ammo. Democratic strategist Mark Hanna says, no, he did not. Now, Mark, your argument is nothing new here. We're getting kind of used to these tapes. Right?
Yeah, Gruber is kind of the gift that just keeps giving for the Republicans. But no, he's not saying anything that nobody already knows. The economic logic of the law depends on enrollment, depends on somebody, the federal government being sort of a booster.
You will admit he's a little rough around the edges.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the guy is at it. We were talking at a central casting. I mean, his name is
I'm
Gruber.
thinking Jerry Lewis, Nutty Professor. No.
No, it's completely distracting, though. What this is doing is that it's giving the Republicans fodder, no question, for making a case for a Republican president. Do we think realistically, though, any of the sort of mainstream Republican possible contenders are going to strip nearly more than 50 million men, women, children from private health insurance, Medicaid, CHIP, all sorts of insurance that they now have under Obamacare? And that's going to play well somehow?
Well,
I mean,
some could quibble with those numbers. I do understand what you're saying, though, Lisa, because it's easier said than done to disentangle what are a lot of bureaucratic entanglements here, that what you take away, thinking that you remove a key provision, you take away a lot of other people's key provisions. Easier said than done. What do you make of that?
Well, I think it is easier said than done. But look, as Mark pointed out, John Gruber, Christmas came early for Republicans because John Gruber is the gift that keeps on giving. But Obamacare is incredibly toxic, as evidenced by the midterm elections. It is one of the largest reasons that Republicans are going to hold, such a large majority in the House next Congress.
But are any of them going to be able to repeal it in the next 2 years? Unlikely, right?
Well, no, I think Jonathan Gruber's right. It's going to take a Republican in the White House to repeal Obamacare. But I think what Republicans are going to do, and they've already signaled to do next Congress, is to look at, repealing the medical device tax, repealing the employer mandate, and taking away, some of these key provisions of the law.
And there are a lot of Democratic votes for that.
Sure, but let's be clear. Gruber didn't say that Republicans are going to repeal it if there's a Republican president. He just said they're going to ignore the law. If that's your strategy, if that's sort of the sort of horse you're trying to bet on for the 2016 presidential nomination, that we're running on a platform of ignorance.
Mark, it doesn't matter what he's saying. What he is doing is hurting the law itself, whether fairly or not, rightly or wrongly.
No, he's pointing out the actual vulnerabilities in the law.
He's talking about how to sell something that was a dud.
Yeah.
But Mark, the fault in your argument is the fact that Obamacare is incredibly unpopular. It's even more unpopular today than when it was in the law passed.
Nobody's going to get elected, Republican or Democrat, running. I mean, you heard Tim Scott.
The problem you have, Mark. Okay. But what about Senator Chuck Schumer, who just recently stepped forward and said, you know what? No, but he said that look, that Democrats should have focused on middle class instead of passing Obamacare.
Right. Well, Obamacare does help the middle class, and I just want to make Republicans after Franklin Roosevelt passed Social Security ran on a platform of repealing Social Security. After Lyndon Johnson passed Medicare,
not a one supported this.
And what's that?
Not a one supported this.
Look, Medicare, once you have these entitlements, and granted they are entitlements, once you have on a national scale, and they're affecting positively millions of Americans.
Those prior acts were passed under bipartisan Congress, not overwhelming.
No, it wasn't bipartisan, Neil.
Well, there were Republican votes for Medicare. There were Republican votes for Medicaid. Republican votes for Social Security.
There was fierce opposition among the anti-federalists for the Bill of Rights. There's been fierce opposition.
You don't think that this is in danger? You don't think key funding provisions, to Lisa's point, are in danger?
Right.
I do not think that they are. I think even if you have a Republican
elected, married,
yes,
your vision could be blurred here.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. You don't think that's going to happen?
I don't, and this is why. Because of what Senator Tim Scott came on and said, we need to look at the future, not the past. We have to have bold,
part of the
new
future
ideas,
is getting rid of this
not renegotiating his old ideas. Gruber was the architect, yes, of Obamacare, but of Romney-Care in Massachusetts, and it was a Republican idea, and we can keep debating it, or we can propose new affirmative ideas for the future.
Mark, Mark, where your argument falls flat is the fact that Obamacare is wholly unpopular with Americans.
It's not
They just
unpopular with the
soundly-
people
yes,
that
it is.
benefit from
Yes,
it,
it is, because
that are
nobody's
insured from
benefiting
it.
from it. People aren't
They're
benefiting
How many of those are going to vote for
5% of the
Republicans?
population, no, less
Plenty.
than 5%
Really, the people that are
benefiting from the
benefiting-
health care law.
Have
Middle
your
class families are
premiums
struggling
gone
because of the law.
up? Mine have gone up. I don't think it's just because I work here
Insurance premiums are
at
set to
Fox.
increase by double digits in 2015. Middle class
All right.
families are hurting. And according to a recent Gallup poll, a peak number of Americans are delaying
Okay.
medical care because of
Open
costs.
enrollment is open now. Everybody in your viewership should know that open enrollment is...
Oh boy, and they're
is-
rushing in, aren't they?
Well, they're beating
Sure,
the estimates. We had more than 7 million in the private exchanges last year, and I think we're
Okay,
set to do
guys,
that.
we had more